Hi, boys and girls. We're back. It's Monday. It's a very, very special episode, boys and girls. Number 30. Drew's here. What's up, guys? How we doing? I always ask Andy if he's ready, and he's just never on time. Emily's here before Andy. What's up, Drew? What's up, Mikey? No? Maybe? Ever? There we go.
I've been sitting here waiting on you.
Nah, stop it. We had technical difficulties with the headphones.
Oh, technical difficulties, but you say I'm never on time. That's cool.
What's going on?
What's up?
Nothing. How we doing?
Ben's in the house. What's up, Ben?
There's a couple people. Everyone wanted to hang out with us on number 30.
Number 30.
Number 30.
I had a big 30 birthday 8 years ago.
Yeah, you did. You did. I had one 5 years ago. It was fun. The golden hour. Yeah, you got good lighting behind you. Good scenery.
Beautiful.
Good scenery. There
Look at that.
go.
The dog.
Oh,
The play place. The gym.
nice.
The national championship.
Who's playing?
Florida and LSU.
What game is it?
Game 3.
Game 3?
LSU won the first one by a run or two. Florida won last night like 25-3. I mean, they beat the shit out of them.
Is it best of 3 or best of 5?
This is it.
Oh, it's it.
And Florida's got their best guy on the mound. I don't know who LSU's pitcher put it on.
Electrifying.
LSU's number 1's the best amateur pitcher I've ever seen.
Oh,
it's not even close.
Really?
Yeah, he threw 48 pitches over 100 miles an hour in his first start there.
He's a freshman?
He's a junior. He was an All-American last year at Navy or Air Force or one of them and bounced.
Because he realized how good he was?
He had like 18 home runs and hopped in the portal and probably got $1.5 million in NIL money, and now he's just hanging out at LSU, and he's just the man.
Wow.
So,
a little bit different than the Naval Academy, I would assume.
Yeah, I mean, he might not go first. He'll go second. He'll get $8 million. He'll be in the big leagues this year.
Not the worst thing I've ever heard.
Rough life.
Yeah. Terrible.
Tough life.
But this is the State of the Union, sponsored by Go Hard Barbell.
IPA Florida.
IPA Florida. Yep. BCB Training Systems. IPA New Jersey. And Wicked Wolf Beard Co. Who is doing a discount code for the event, for the occasion. What is it? SOTU?
SOTU.
SOTU 30 gets you, and sponsored by Emily. SOTU 30 gets you 30% off any purchase over $30. So
buy some beard butter and put it in your hair if you have any.
Buy some beard butter, put it in your hair, because that combo is the way is the way to go.
Don't have any hair, grow a bigger beard on your chin.
And if you don't have any hair, grow a bigger beard on your chin. That's how that's how it should be. We have questions. First question is, what is your least favorite max effort exercise for each of the 3 lifts? Go ahead.
For squat, man, I'm gonna say anything close stance raw. And I just made the decision that I'm gonna close stance low box raw, and I'm like exclusively doing close stance low box raw before I put my race on every week from now on. So
That sounds terrible.
Oh, I did spider bar today versus 260 chain. I hit 455, and the bar speed was fast, but I mean, it was not fun. It felt like it was like a 4.5 foot range of motion.
Would
And
you
it
do close stance?
14-inch box.
Close stance?
Yeah, I mean, so I define anything close stance and like, you know, the old deal for close grip used to be pinky or index on the rings. Close grip for me is shoulder width or inside. So my close grip is like here away from the ring. I mean, I go in there. It's I can't control the bar. It's because my hands are too close and I'm too wide. So close stance for me, feet wise, would be anything shoulder width or in.
Okay.
Well, I'm that shoulder width.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, it's rough. It's brutal. It's brutal. But Lou's a big fan of. He says, you know, special bars, close grip. They just really challenge your positioning. And you know, for me, I'm just trying to make things harder before I put my briefs on. It's nice, man, because I just make a couple less jumps. I mean, I just did like a red, 2 reds, 3 reds, 3 reds, and some change. Took it off, put a 4th red on. Did 3 sets. You know, so it's like 7 squats. It was easy. 8 total reps. It's great. Or 10 total reps of squats. So it works out perfectly. For deadlift, anything deficit, I hate deficit pulls. Coincidentally, the 8 times I've hurt my back, 7 of them have been deficit pulls. And the other one was doing speed pulls with like 450 pounds of band tension, which is highly intelligent. And then bench, I would say, I really don't like I don't enjoy low pin presses, but I think they're incredibly good for you. So anything like where I bring it down, rest it on the pins like inside of 2 inches away from my chest, I think that's pretty tough.
For you.
Right. So bars like I used to hate the SSB, but my suggestion would be if you hate the SSB, figure out a way to like it because it's literally built to make you a stronger human.
Yeah. And I was gonna say, because you do a different exercise before you put your gear on. So like you may do a pin press and then put your shirt on. So
yeah, I'm always going to do a max raw.
Yeah.
And I just I kind of just like I basically go board press or shoulder shaver 1 week. Board press or shoulder shaver 1 week. Then either like so it's like a 5-week rotation. So it'll be like board press 1 week, maybe floor press next week, then full range, and then maybe pin press the next week, close grip incline the next week, and then full range again, and then I'll deload.
That sounds terrible. But see, that's too many. That's too many weeks without a deload. That's getting away from the.
Well, we're going to leave the deload talk to the deload, but let's just say that that's far closer to a quicker deload than I have. Deloaded.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm usually good. Well, we'll just leave that.
Yeah.
Little cliffhanger.
But what I was saying was you change up what you're doing exercise-wise. So
so I might
if we're
and get off the floor and go do a board press my shirt.
If we're safety bar squatting, then we're safety bar squatting raw before we put our gear on, and then we're just continuing a safety bar.
In gear it's always the same bar and the same AR. I'm just, if it's raw, I'm going to be to a lower box.
Right.
Gear, I will like do a pin press and then pull the pins and then do a board press in my shirt.
Gotcha.
I'll do a press or a close grip incline and then just go right over there, put whatever I want on, and go do the shirt.
So I would say if I had to pick, it would be anything with the safety bar, and lots of AR, just because it's terrible. We've had upwards of 300, and I've had upwards of 350 in AR on a safety bar, and it's literally the worst thing in the entire world. I can't even explain how terrible it is. But like you said, if you hate the safety bar, use it, and it's going to make you stronger. So, you know, if I can continually take picks every time I take a safety bar up over 1,000 at the top, then, you know, when I put a buffalo bar or a straight bar on my back, it should be, you know, exponentially easier at the top. So, bench wise, anything raw to my chest, I say I would hate, but that's just because I got one. That's just because I got one titty.
Pussy.
Yeah. What? Yeah. I'd rather bench against bands than bench against chains. For whatever reason, I
don't love setting up the chains on bench. I don't know why.
I just always felt that it was harder.
It's definitely hard.
Yeah. I wasn't able to be as fast twitchy with the chains as I'd like.
Well, I mean, I don't, not to get into the science of it all, but the bands pull you down, which
right,
which initiates the stretch reflex better. It overloads the Golgi tendon for those of you science nerds, and then that stores energy into your body better.
Yeah. Whatever he said. And then deadlift wise is going to be anything conventional from a deficit. We're just not. And like you said, anytime that I tweak something in training, it's pulling conventional from a deficit.
Yeah.
Like,
and I
every time.
I actually have a weird one too.
What do you got?
I hate reverse bands. Despise them. I don't know why. I hate them. I know you like them.
I love them.
I don't. I've got a reverse band set up that I like on bench, so I'm okay with that. I just
You mean the way you have to set it up?
Yeah, I don't mind doing it in briefs, but the way that I have to set it up, on max effort, man, I honestly, I feel like I took 915 reverse band going to this meet, and it felt worse than both of my 915 squats at the meet. Like I don't know, man. Maybe I'm not using enough band. I feel like the band is in a weird spot, so like it pulls me forward, so I have a hard time getting back. I don't know, man. I just don't like it.
So it's probably, if that's what you're feeling, it's probably where you're attaching it to your model.
Yeah. I just don't like it. Every time I do reverse bands, I'm just like, I just might not do this anymore, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a big reverse band guy, but in specific points in training and in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And
it's not something you should do a lot of.
It's not something you should do a lot of, and it's not something that you should be using doubled lights or 3 averages or a strong and a light like you see some of these clowns
they always
doing.
Say if you're taking 10%, anything 10% or more than your max, you're doing too much.
10%.
So like if you took 1,300, is too much.
Right.
The day we did it at Sweat Shop, how they had it set up, it was great. I was fine.
So what I was going to say was, I'll only do, if we're talking about squatting, I'll only do a reverse micro or a reverse mini or a reverse monster. And I'll always do it with the carabiner in it, so it's even less. But inside of me prep, we'll never use anything more than a mini.
I do like it more when I just do it for attempts. So I just do it to feel attempts.
Yeah.
Like the one time I was like, I'm just gonna take $1,000. I was out on that. I would rather overload off of high chains than I would do that.
Yeah, see, I hate high chains because at least if you're gonna take a reverse band, it's gonna be a full movement. But that's just me. And I was never a big fan of squatting into chains. We've gone back and forth on that. But everyone likes different things to overload. I just like the ability of reverse band to make the hardest part of the lift easier, especially with where they're programmed or where I have them programmed.
Yeah, I mean, if you have them set up right, you're probably taking your third at the top and it's your opener at the bottom. Close.
We figured that the reverse minis, newer reverse minis with the carabiner, deloads about 80 out of the hole.
80, yeah. So for me, it's probably it's a little less than my opener maybe, and right at my third.
So rule of thumb is if you're able to comfortably hit a whatever your reverse band top set is, that should somewhere put you in the vicinity of a third.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, for you, you're going to open in the 1060, 1070 range and finish in the high 11. So,
right.
You're going to a little more than an opener and right around a third, or
yeah,
add an opener and a little less than a third.
Right.
The bottom. What I'm saying, so like if it's 1180 at the top on the bar, it's 1100 at the bottom. So it's a little more than an opener, a little less than Yeah.
Yeah, because figure now if second attempt's got to be 1165, opener's got to be in the upper thousands.
Yeah.
No.
Looks like 1080.
1080, yeah.
80 pounds.
1080 to 1165 is, at that point is what needs to happen.
I'm here for it. All right.
But, next question was full gear and box squats. Yes or no? And thoughts?
I have said no. I am going to withhold judgment, and I'm going to try it, and I'm going to let you know.
Okay. Fair. I'm going to be
You have been a staunch advocate of no box squats in full gear.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that I think in my case, I don't think it will hurt because I've had a problem with depth, and I think I will get more comfortable getting to depth. So we'll see. I don't think it's something you need to base your training around, but I do think it has a place. I don't think it's like, I think you have to free squat in your full
gear
when
Correct.
You're taking your attempts, like when you're doing the things that you're doing to get yourself ready for the meet. I think in training, trying to get a feel for navigating the full gear and the pressures involved and sitting back and doing things you're supposed to, I think there could be an application that could help you. But I'll give you that answer in December or November if something changes.
There you go.
I'm not as against it as I once was.
We're still going to be a staunch no there. But like you said, and this applies for anything really, if you think about it, there could be some situations in which it could be beneficial to certain lifters. I don't. If you're box squatting the right way, then when you are free squatting, it should be pretty similar. So if that bottom end is a comfortable place for you to the box, when your suit goes on and your straps go up. So there's a big difference between suit on, straps down, and suit on, straps up.
I mean, that's an extra pair of briefs.
Right.
That's really
that
also defeats the purpose of the exercise. No,
correct.
That's like tiptoeing around. You like, for me, my thought is like, I wish that when I put full gear on, I wished I would have box squatted in full gear for a cycle or two, so that I kept more variables in line when I changed the variable of the gear. And that's what I would use for somebody that started, as I would say, you're comfortable box squatting in briefs. Let's just keep the briefs on and box squat in full gear, and let's see how you get down there and then pull the box. But that would be like, 12 to 15 weeks, 16, 18, beyond, out.
Right. And Drew, you're 100% correct. That's going to be more of a poly suit than a canvas suit. And that's just because you're looking at two totally different types of support in the gear. If you're lifting in poly, you want rebound. You want to feel that.
A canvas suit is a box squat. That's what that canvas does.
Exactly. And maybe that's why I'm so anti that, because that's what I squatted now.
Yeah.
I probably would have a different opinion if I was still in poly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, but I also like, when you told me no, I was also box squatting a manner that you don't want to be box squatting in full gear. Like, you certainly don't want to be deloading on the box with the amount of weights you can have full gear. That's not good.
But that's also why it's so crucial to make sure that your brief box squats are perfect and look perfect.
Brief box squats are right, they're going to look like a geared full squat.
It should. In theory, it should, because as soon as you put the suit on and you put those straps up, that's your box.
Yep.
Straps up, sitting into your suit is your box. That's why at least good coaches will always harp on the fact that box squat has to look good. Box squat has to look good, because that is what your free squat is going to look like in theory when the suit goes on.
100%.
And Mike's true. Mike's correct there too. Mike said squatting to a box versus box squatting. Those are two totally different things. So.
Yeah, and the one thing that I would say that I've had to learn is box squat is a tool to make your free squat better.
Yeah.
So you
100%.
cheat the box squat like.
No,
it's like when you safety bar squat, like, you don't really need to be yanking on these things, because like you're trying to run away from the whole point of the bar. Like, let the bar pull you forward, and then you resist that. Like, that's the point of the deal. That's what you're using the bar for. Like the camber bar, like it's supposed to shake. That's what it's there for. Make your core stronger.
That's the whole process. That's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
But that's why those bars are used, is to make the transition to a free squat with a straight bar as easy and seamless as possible. If you're taking continuous picks with the safety bar and the camber bar and a whole bunch of AR, when you put your hands where they should be and you're squatting into a suit with straps, it should be easier. Meat day should be easier. It's going to be heavier, yeah, but meat
different kind of hard, but the movement pattern should be pretty greased.
Yeah.
And like, it's also teaching you like how to counteract when this happens, then you know what to do.
Right. I mean, ideally from the consistent use of the specialty bars, that mid back and your lats are strong, and you don't do this.
Yeah, but when you do, though, I mean, invariably you're gonna get. I got bored on my third squat, and I just like we're not using that to fix a muscle imbalance. We're using that to teach your body this is what you do when the movement does this.
Right. And if you look at a safety bar, that's where a lot of people are going to miss at the bottom. Is they're going to miss this way.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lose their lats.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and you cannot turn your lats on with a safety bar.
Right.
You literally, I mean, you have to figure out how to do that.
You have to figure out how to do that.
Isometrically do that, because you have no bar to help you.
That's what makes it so difficult, but that's also why learning how to load your lats on your pick is going to make or break your pick. Make or
100%.
break your unrack.
100%.
So, there's a lot of moving parts, and that's why, especially when you throw the gear on, right? Because we've talked about this all the time. You could be out of position, you could be raw and out of position, and still be able to muscle through a bad
Overpower the bar, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Can't
Where
bar and gear.
No.
You gotta dance with the bar.
All right, last one, because we said there was going to be a cliffhanger.
Well, there's two more, so we can answer them. We still got fucking an hour.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's right.
Maybe three if we get through these.
Maybe three. The third question we got was, what's a typical deload week look like?
Okay, so the cliffhanger is that I generally only deload the week before Circumax. So, yeah, well, gear would be when you follow. You typically deload only before Circumax. So I would finish a meet, train the next week. It would be considered a deload week, but I wouldn't put a bar on my back, which is what I generally consider a deload week. And I would just train for 23 weeks, and then I would deload and I'd do Circumax, and then I'd do 2 deloads in 4 weeks, and then do the meet, and I wouldn't deload for 24 weeks. I mean, so I would actually do 3 deloads in 5 weeks, and then if you map it out over 26 weeks, I deload every 9 weeks. But now I would deload every 7th week, and for lower, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the Good Morning as my deload. So right now I'm mixing in a lot more Good Mornings because I've stopped deadlifting on max effort day. So like today I did spider bar, workup, raw. I hit 705 and 265 change, which I thought 260 change was very good. Like 965. I probably had a little bit more in me, but where I'm at right now, there's no point. So anything over 700 pounds with AR on the bar is very good for me. So yeah, I had that, and then I did my shoeless, beltless, knee wrapless, low box squats, and then I did Good Mornings up to 400 for 5 on the safety bar.
But that's not a deload. That's not a deload week.
No, but if I were to deload, I would work up to like an actual max effort set of 5 on Good Mornings, and then drag the sled, and then just do regular accessory work. That's what I would do.
And I do the complete total polar opposite. Our deloads are every 4th week is a deload. Actually, we're all deloading right now, which is fantastic. The way that I situated deload is totally different. Like I said, we don't touch a barbell. There's no max effort type movement at all. If you actually zoomed out, it'd look like an entire. They're just accessory days. I've bounced around all.
What I'm saying.
What?
Just do, because Good Mornings are accessories.
No, it's not a max effort set of 5. That's not a deload.
It's better.
No.
Well, let me backtrack. I don't have my clients do this, and I would not recommend.
Okay.
I would not recommend other people doing this. I have a sickness. There is something wrong with me. There's an empty hole inside of me that can only be filled with PRs. I have an empty hole. Here we go, Emily. Makes perfect sense. I have an empty hole inside of me, and I just like it ruins my week. I wake up on Sunday morning and I am like, because I do not want to go to the gym and not get into the bar. I don't want to do it. Like honest to God, if you said I had to deload, I would just not go to the gym. I wouldn't do anything. And course light.
I am saying that you have
But
to deload. You're ignoring. No, you're not.
Well, I mean, I am removing some load. I mean, you have to understand. Listen to me now. Listen to me. You are right. I agree that this is not smart. But if you think about it, if I take the intensity and the spinal load of barbell movements and the 10,000 pounds of volume I do out of the exercise and replace it with an exercise that I'm already doing, I am recovering more that week. And I am removing a movement pattern.
Do you know how little the margin of error is to fuck your back up with a good morning?
I do, but that's why I don't go to absolute max effort either. I just get some good work in.
Yeah, but why even risk it? Put another plate on your belt squat. Put another plate on your belt squat. Put another plate on your leg press.
Coincidentally, when I have not deloaded, it's been the healthiest I've been for a long time. But I would not recommend anybody doing this. I did let Emily do it with a disclaimer. I did not think it was a good idea, but that's what she wanted to do. So I'm not an enabler, but I'm just telling you that this is what So to move forward, on upper day, I will either do a bunch of Louis push-ups, which would be I put the bar in the very bottom of a rack and put wet plates on my back and do body weight push-ups.
You do it with the band.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that this time I deload. Or I'll just do I'll work up to like 3 max rep sets of what the heaviest dumbbells I got. So, yeah, it got in way a different way. But I would work up. So I do like 5 sets of as many as I could. So like it might be like 20 reps, 16 reps, 12 reps, 8 reps, 6 reps. Or I'll take the heaviest dumbbells I got. That's right. And I would, or I'll just work up to like the 115s and do as many reps as I can for 3 sets and then do my accessories. I don't hate it as much on upper day. I absolutely hate it on lower day. And I still run my regular speed wave. Sometimes
that's not a deload then.
Sometimes if it works out, I'll just skip a speed week and do everything else the same too. Just remove the speed work. Sometimes I've also, when I wasn't deloading, I would just go in and I would do max effort work and no accessories and just remove accessories. So I would remove all the accessory volume from my training. I've done
that's not a deload either. None of the things that you're saying deloads. None of those things are.
Hey, I'm not arguing that I'm right, man. I'm just. This is
I know.
Who I am.
I know.
It's who I am as a person.
I know.
The way that like all of my clients, like there were people in there today dragging the sled. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that, man. I'll drag a sled tomorrow morning. Not doing it. Not gonna do it.
No. Well, ours. I guess the way the deload looks now is very different from what it's looked like, I would say, from even like 2 or 3 years ago. I would say it's even less volume. Like it's even less because I think that things have to be pulled back even more.
Yeah, I will say though, the one thing I will say is that I do believe that the conjugate system is built for you to move around without the use of deloads the same way that you need to do it if you're raw. I think people that are raw, I think if you're training with a straight bar exclusively, like if you're just going in and free bar squatting, free bar benching, free bar deadlifting, like you absolutely unequivocally have to deload every 4th week because that movement pattern and that loading pattern is going to kill you. Like that, if you are training with a straight bar only and you are or squatting or whatever it is that you're doing, and you're doing the same shit week in, week out, and you don't deload every fourth week, that is
You're done, though.
Major mistake. A major mistake. And I know that sounds like absolute hypocritical for me. I'm going to say it again. I'm not saying what I'm doing is right. I'm saying that's just what I'm doing. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. But yes. But when you do the same movement pattern every week, it's really funny, man, because I know guys at Westside, and Louis will tell people like, hey, yeah, sometimes you need deload. And those guys would go in there, and Louis would be like, what are y'all doing? They're like, we're deloads. Like, we don't deload here. Like, he would say, it was the same thing that I'm preaching, not comparing myself to
We got you.
training system. But like, he would tell his guy, like he would tell almost like a disclaimer, like, hey, you should probably deload, because he didn't want everybody going on deload. And then if you try to deload at Westside, they're like, yeah, we're not deloading. You're not deloading. We don't deload here. It's like Brandon Lilly has a story of Lou where he said that he went to take a bench and he moved it pretty well. And Lou's like, what are you taking next? And he said, I feel like I'm going to tear my pec. And Louis looks at him and goes, we don't save pecs here.
Oh,
So he took another bench.
Poor
We don't save pecs here.
Oh, man.
Oh, dude, that's all I got, Lou. I got a phone call. My wife's sick.
Decent success deloading secondaries. Have a decent success deloading secondary days.
And just deloading on that day and lowering your overall weekly volume. That's one of the things that Matt Winning says. I mean, and I don't like to quote a ton of Matt Winning stuff, but he is very intelligent. And he says that, if you know what you're doing and know what you need, there's a lot. Like a deload, he says a deload could be you could not do a max effort exercise, or you could not do accessory work, or you could skip speed work, or you could just like because the whole point of the deload is you're recovering at 100%. You're putting in 100% volume and recovering at 100% for 3 weeks, for 6 weeks. On the 7th week, you want to recover at 100%, but only put 80% in. So now you're over-recovered to restart the cycle. That's the point of the deload. What Chris is referring to is deloading intensity and spinal loading, which is intelligent. Okay, you're not like that. You're not going to make progress doing that. I just don't like doing that.
No, and
at the end of the day, this is supposed to be fun, so I'm going to drink some Coors Light and squat or
right.
And that's just the way that I operate.
And if you were to ask me 8 years ago, I would say me and you would be in agreement, because prior to my pec, I never deloaded. We deloaded once every 20th week, just because something was going on.
Yeah. But one thing I do that a lot of people don't do, and this is something that I do with the conjugate system that they did at Westside, and very, 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 very few people do, is I don't map out my training. It drives some of my clients crazy, because I'll just put something in there and they're like, we doing this today? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I don't feel like doing that. I'm doing something different. And that'll be I might walk in the gym, not have a deload, and I will literally scale back to a 2020 max effort movement with briefs that I squatted one time, and I did 605 plus a green band. I'm like, sweet, man, I'm gonna hit 650 and get out of here. And that's not work for me. And I had a 45-pound PR because I am 150 pounds stronger than I was a year ago. So I will do some shit like that before. Or I'll just go, I'm going to cook something up that I've never done before. And I'm going to hit something.
You don't have a PR. So you don't have a PR.
Like an 8.
Right.
Because I don't feel great today, and I'm going to get out of the gym. And I will do that, and a lot of other people won't. Because a lot of other people are totally crippled by having to map out their training and months in advance. And that's not me. The only training that I know that I'm going to do are the last
me prep. That's it.
I have no idea what I'm doing. And Chris will tell you, because he used to coach me, I used to have to know I would have my shit mapped out to the point of these are the jumps I'm taking. I'm going to do the bar, and then for 8 weeks in advance. And that is just if you're doing that, you're not doing conjugate, because those guys, they even said it in the Panora, they don't know. Dave Tate was we would literally be sitting on boxes in Westside eating McDonald's, waiting to find out what to do. They wouldn't even finding out. They'd just be going talking shit, blah blah blah. What do you want to do? I want to do this. What do you want to do? I want to do this. And somebody would go man, the last thing I want to do is safety low box squats. They'd be like, that's what we're doing.
Right.
Like, just to be an asshole. Like, that's how they set up training. And you literally, or like Panora said, they would literally just, whatever bar was left in the rack, that's what they would do.
And, but that's one of the greatest benefits to conjugate is you can totally make up your max effort movement as long as you're working to whatever the goal of the day is.
Well, max effort is not, it's not a bar.
Right.
It's not
right. It's a movement.
It's a feeling.
It's a movement.
Strain.
Right.
Like, the only thing that I know is that I can tell you, max effort, I'm going to drink some beer and I'm going to do something that scares me. And it's going to be hard. And that's it. I don't have any other answers for you. I have no idea what I'm going to do. None. Clueless. Might have something in my head, walk in the gym and be like, that sounds fun. Might have something in my head, wake up in the morning, see something you did or something Leah did or something somebody else did and be like, that was cool. I'm going to try that. That, like, and I think that, because I also think that the dwelling for periods of time of what you have to do, that's why meet prep is so hard for me, because I know what I've got to do and I know what I got to beat and I know how important those weeks are to my mentality. Whereas, like, in training, I'm just like, I don't really care, man. Whatever. Load it up.
I was so anal about that with clients that I wasn't giving them workouts until the day of.
You wouldn't give me a workout until I was in the gym.
I know, because
I would text you at lunchtime. You'd be like, "Are you in the gym?" Like, no. I was like, "I'm not giving you."
Because it doesn't matter. You don't need. It does not matter what is programmed for you that day. It doesn't matter if
all that matters is the mindset for the effort you're going to put into the lift.
That's it. And making sure to do the things that you need to do in that lift to make it look good.
Yep.
So whether it's a safety bar, whether it's a cambered bar, whether it's a buffalo bar, whether it's a, running out of bars, a spider bar, it doesn't matter. The way that you squat with each of those bars doesn't change. And
I will tell you that that's a beautiful way to go about training, because it totally frees you up to enjoy meets.
Yeah, I did that. I did that to him and JT. So when I was doing their stuff, they would text me at 10 in the morning when they weren't training till 5 at night. And I was like, you're still in school. You're a student right now. You're not a power lifter right now. Like, you can worry about your workout later, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's called for that day. It's not changing anything. If it's a max effort squat day, you are squatting with whatever is on the bar, with whatever is attached to the bar, for the reps that are called for at the intensity that's called for. So if you know that you're working up to a heavy single at a 9, it doesn't matter what's on the bar, right? And at least that's how I coach it, right? And that's why I'm so anti working based off percentages, because you can feel like absolute garbage one day and it could be called for a 9, and that 9 may not be a PR, or it may not be 90%, right? But you're going in and you're doing what needs to be done that day. So if you are taking a max effort squat versus with a cambered bar and 200 pounds of chains to a 9, then that's all that
and in all,
you need to be focused on.
In actuality, man, like, your body doesn't know how much weight's on the bar. Your body knows the effort that went into the bar, and like, no matter how mad you get, you still got training effect. And at the end of the day, training is for training effect.
Right.
So,
and if any of my lifters know, especially the ones that that I have online, it'll always be, send me the video. What did it look like? All right. So now I'm gonna look at it for what it looked like to me, but then I need to know, how did it feel, right? So if it looks to me like it was a 5, but it felt like it was a 10, well, then something's off here, right?
And those would be the days that I would be changing the movement around.
It not changing the movement around, but changing could be changing intensity, right?
No, like if I was your client, that would be the day when I started warming up and feeling bad, that would be the day that I would like just pick a movement. Like if I knew that I felt that way, that would be a day I would pick a movement that is not what I've already, you know what I mean? That would be a day where I would pick a movement from 4 years ago and just hit a PR and get out of the gym. Because I know that I don't feel great. And then the days that I feel great, I'm like, let's go.
Right. Well, the days that you feel great are the days that you have to push it, that you have to take the extra set because, let's face it, you don't feel good all the time.
Yeah, and you need those days. And you also need days like you can't just half-ass your way through training and never have a day in training where it's like, today you got to take a safety bar straightway squat and you need to set a PR because that's what the meet is. Like, so you need those days and you need to plan accordingly. And like my suggestion would be that you need to do that like with some manipulation of volume going into that on days when you really need to perform. Like you need to be smart about that. Now I don't have many of those. Like I'm going to take probably one safety bar, one camber bar, one bow bar squat between meets. And that's what I'm going to use to reset my percentages. And that's what I'm going to use to kind of judge where I'm at. Like I know if I can squat, I can tell you that if, you know, the next time I take a safety bar squat, if it's 735 or 750-ish, 730 to 740, or maybe 750, like I'm good for a really big meat squat. Like I'm good for them. I mean, I'm going to do it, but I'm good.
You have those number.
Yeah, those are checkpoints for me. I need to do.
You have those gauges,
and you need those days. Like you do.
Yes.
You can't, like the one thing you can't do. There's a positive to going into the gym, not knowing what you're doing, and then just dancing with a bar. But you also need those days where you know, like today,
we got to go today.
Today you got to grab your balls and you got to do something today. Because that's what meet day is, and you need to be able to answer the bell on some days. If you don't do that, like you're cutting yourself short too. So,
well, yeah, I mean, there shouldn't be, if you know that, you know, you're taking, you know, let's just take a 10-week, you know, meet prep cycle, right? You figure there's a deload to start, and there's what, 3 deloads the week of the meet, and two deloads sprinkled in there. So that's now immediately 7. So now you have 7 squats going into your meet, 7 actual heavy squat days, right? And then if you zoom out even further, it's really not 7 because you got an opener in there and you got a last warm up in there. So now you got 5. So going into a meet out of your 10-week meet prep, you really only have 5 heavy squats, right? So you don't have a choice but to turn it on for those 5 times.
That's
going
right.
into a meet. You don't. I don't feel good. You cannot feel good. Obviously, you know, everyone's not going to feel perfect all the time. But what happens if you don't feel good on meet day?
Better know how to roll with the punches.
You know, I'm not saying this is the best choice of action, but there's been a numerous amount of Saturday nights that ended up on, you know, with lots of vodka diets.
Yeah, usually,
and not feeling that great Sunday morning.
I usually
and
on meet day,
and having to make sure that you can still suck it up and get through a, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to come a Sunday where I'm walking in the gym not shaking the hangover off. It's just not going to happen.
So, you know,
hang with it.
It is what it is. I mean, if that's not, you know,
this is grown man business, buddy.
Yeah,
can't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone.
Man.
You know, you can.
All right, so we had 2 more. Let's answer them since we're rolling. What was that? Circumax? Little hair of the dog.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
The difference between me and Chris is I'll rip a couple Coors Lights and get a wave going. Chris is he doesn't like the cold beer.
No. Especially not during squats. We can't do that.
Oh, very refreshing and hydrating.
Refreshing, I bet. Yeah. And then the last one was, what does a typical Circumax look like?
Well, we can answer this one quickly so we can get to the other one.
Yeah.
So Circumax for me, and I'm going to tell you what Circumax is, and then I'm going to let you talk about your Circumax. And then Circumax for me is So I will take my openers at 5 weeks. And 4 weeks out will be a deload. 3 weeks out, I will begin the Circumax phase. The Circumax phase should be some form of AR. I will leave this up to your interpretation, but Lou wrote the Circumax phase, and there was no chains. I know some guys at Westside use chains now. I see the value in chains. For me, Circumax with my squad is going to be a purple, a blue, and a green, which is 450 pounds if you use a 4x4 around the bottom of the mono, which if you don't, you should, because if you're using tension, you should use a lot of tension.
Tension.
And it's a box squat in briefs to a parallel box up to a top single, with the top single, if you're an 800 to 950 pound squatter, or maybe 1,000, probably 1,000 will be the cutoff for that. If once you're more than 1,000 pound squatter, you probably need more like 500 pounds of tension. So maybe 2 blues and a purple, or a blue and 2 greens. And then whatever you squat in briefs at the top should be what you're good for at the meet. So this last time I did like 515 plus, I did 5 plates plus 450. So I would think that when you saw my 927, like 965, 960 was not totally out of the question. And all of my other squats were within 20 pounds of what I did, and there was never an issue of moving the bar. So when I did 450 and 450, I did 460 and 450, and I squatted 904.
Right. So you when you do it the way that it is written,
that's how you do it.
You get the gauge that you should get for about a third attempt.
Yep.
When you do your Circumax.
Yep.
And
then week 2 is 75% bar weight of the top set. So if you did 515, 75, that'd be what? 75 is 300.
Call it 365, 385.
Yeah, like right at 4. Yep, right at 4 for 3 singles. And I think the second week is where people screw it up, because I think they need more and you need less. You just need to feel something, and then you need to get out of the gym, because you're trying to do the delayed transformation phase, which means you're trying to. That's the active deload. You did this much intensity, now you're doing less, and then the next week, 1 week out, you do very little, and then you go to the meet. So you're tickling it, like you're feeling enough to go like, this is a little something, and then you get out. And then the last week, I just would do like 6 doubles with like 3 plates and a blue. It's like basically a speed work day. Not full gear though.
No,
you don't full gears out. Maybe suit bottoms, but I think that's going to give you a false sense of what you can squat. Because I could squat 6 plus.
In your saying for the.
I could add a quarter to that, and then that would say like, oh yeah, I'm ready for 1,000. You take 1,000 and get crushed. So
gotcha.
If you take it in suit bottoms because you need to, you have to base your third attempt off of what you do in briefs. So go ahead and what do you got for Circumax?
So I do my Circumax totally different, but I do it differently for a different reason. The way that I do Circumax is to overload the CNS and to get it super primed, and then take a deload, and then take attempts.
So you do it similar. You just do it 3 weeks prior, and then deload, and then do temps.
Correct. So when you're saying you're taking your opener 5 weeks out, we're taking a straight ball, or taking a free squat in full gear versus our heaviest pick of the cycle.
Yeah.
And that's, right around week 3 of our Circumax, which in the past, I mean, it's been some of the times it's been we've gotten a little carried away. I've gotten a little carried away with the AR on the bar. But I mean, week 3 of Circumax has ranged anywhere from 500 to 900 in AR.
Yeah. I remember you did the one where it was like 1,400 pounds at the top.
Yeah. I mean, I took the max you can put on a Duffalo bar. We figured out what that was. It's 1,480. At the top. That's not straight weight. That's total bands and chains at the top.
How'd that feel?
It was pretty bad. But I knew going into that meet, I mean, that was the most prime my squats, you know.
Was that the 1160?
No, I didn't. No, going into the September meet when I hit 1160, that was after I tore my adductor.
I remember that because we had
July.
the conversation where you felt like you could like slightly overtrain squats and or undertrain squats and overtrain deadlifts was what you came up with.
Right.
For you. Because you're just such a natural puller. The other thing you can do for Circumax, because the word Circumax is around max, is you can take like a second, opener a second, and hit something around.
I mean, there's been times where the third week of Circumax has just been a full swinging dick reverse band.
Yeah. I mean, all Circumax is, in theory, in philosophy, it's just you're tickling that high intensity zone, and then you got to recover from it.
You're overloading.
But you're screwing it up if you don't build in recovery, because the whole point of it is to overstep your recovery with intensity, and then understep your intensity and over-recover for 2 weeks, and then be peaked at the meet. That's the point. That's why Luke always said that, like, Chuck would have squatted 1,300 or 1,400 pounds because of his Circumax numbers, but he would just, like, go in, do a Circumax, and then go in the next week and beat it, and then go in the next week and beat it, and then go to the meet, and he's like, that's 4 weeks in a row at absolute top end. Whereas if they, and I don't know, because Chuck obviously liked, he was just a different human. His brain was not wired like other people's were. But Lou always said that if he could have got Chuck to take something 3 weeks out, and then take 75% of that for 3 singles, and then do a very light week,
he would have squatted.
We were not given the true gift of what that man was capable of.
Right, and that's why I think I've even tapered the taper back even more.
Because the last 3 weeks of your shit's very easy.
The last 3 weeks is take an opener with a reverse band second, which puts it in between an opener and a second. So
and then an opener,
and then it's an opener with more reverse bands. Yeah. I use reverse bands more as a to help me taper into a meet. Feel the weight at the top and take that deload out of the hole where you don't necessarily need to feel. You don't need to necessarily feel your last warm-up 2 weeks out.
No.
Right? It's good to grease the groove. Like, take it, feel it, make it nice and snappy. But
it's more.
It's all mental. It's all mental. And at that point, when you're taking your last warm-up with micros 2 weeks out, like, you're not getting any stronger.
No, but people need it, though. Like,
it's 100% needed, but it's not getting you any stronger for meet day.
I will tell you this, and then we'll take the last question, but one thing I have noticed is the better the lifter is, the less they feel like they need to feel things around the meet. So take that for what it's worth. Like the lifter that perform,
but that's gonna come with time under the bar.
Yes. But the more the lifter just kind of goes like, can just buy into the fact of like,
recovery.
I'm hitting PRs with this bar, I'm hitting PRs with this bar, I've hit PRs here. You don't need it. You might think you do, but you don't need it. And the more that they can just allow themselves to go like, nah, I'm strong, we're good. Let's get to the the best lifters that I know can get away with doing very little in the last 2 weeks leading up to the meet. Because you can't get any stronger.
But you could get weaker.
You
could damn sure get weaker. I mean, absolutely. But there's a ton of stuff that goes into that. There's your actual programming, but then there's also what are you doing for recovery? How are you sleeping? How are you eating?
Last 10 days before the meet, every night. I cut my bedtime way early.
Yeah, those are some of the things that need to be done if you want to compete at a high level.
Yeah, for me, it's just like I've spent all this money, I've done all this stuff, I'm going here, people are flying down like that. And sometimes I tear my hamstring 6 days out. But so the other question, what was the last question. You got your phone.
I don't have it on this. Oh, wait. Yes, I do. Hold on. So the last question was.
You send questions and we'll answer it,
Yeah.
guys. We like interaction.
We like to talk.
I saw Matt in here, by the way. Matt, nice job the other day. I didn't get to say hello to you, but got a big meet.
Okay, so
The hammy.
they didn't really ask it as a question. They just kind of talked. That's not very helpful. What would you say to a newer lifter who is worried, obviously, about getting strong, but their weight is creeping up with that and going into the body dysmorphia lane? So I guess, what would you say to a new lifter who's more so worried about getting stronger and not and getting bigger and stronger, and what that's doing to them in the mirror?
Well, I would say a couple things. I'm gonna touch on three things, and I'm gonna let you go. Number one is kind of a two-part thing. Number one, I would say you need to determine what's important to you. Like, are you okay with being softer if that means you're super strong? Or are you okay with not reaching your strength ceiling because you're tied to a look in the mirror? Like for me, it's not a physical appearance thing. Thanks, Jen. It's I am not willing to weigh what I would need to weigh and put that stress on my heart and my system and take years away from my life with my family to be like, I could gain 80 pounds easily and eat my way into an 1,100 pound squat and a 700 pound bench, and I'd probably deadlift 500 pounds because I'd be so fat, but I could easily eat myself into being a considerably higher on the scale lifter with my frame. I'm not willing to do that to my health. But you need to figure out what's most important to you, because the two things that I'm going to say is like, the sport and Instagram is littered with Hunter Hendersons and Stan Effortings, Dan Greens, and like yourself, some of these guys who and ladies who are, Steffi Cohen's and Mariana's, and these people who look they're genetic freaks, and that's not attainable for, like, trying to squat like Hunter and look like Hunter would literally be just like, yeah, I want to be able to throw the football and have my brain process like Tom Brady. Well, guess what, bro? There's only one Tom Brady. Like, I want to be able to play golf like Tiger Woods. Like, yeah, you're not going to do that. You're not Michael Jordan either, or LeBron, or Kobe. You're not Mike Trout. You're not Mike Stanton or Giancarlo Stanton or whatever name he's going by. You're not that guy. Like, that's not what you are. So, like, and the comparison of Instagram just ruins people with regards to that, because they think they can have this thing. Like, and it's like, well, you look at Hunter. It's like, well, you're never going to be as strong as her, and you're never going to look like her. So, like, you're going to get neither one of those things. Neither one of those things is on the table for you. And the chances of somebody being as strong as you and looking the way that you look, like, that's not going to happen. And so you've got to make a decision, and you can still be very strong and maintain but it's going to take more time. It's going to take more work. You're going to have to diet. You're going to have to physically look at your training and go, I'm going to be okay for these 12 weeks to get a little softer, and as soon as the meet comes done, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to cut, and I'm going to do this. But, like, what you can't do is ride two horses with one ass, and you only got one ass. Okay? Like, so
that's a good one.
You can't
That's
ride
a good one.
horses with one ass. Right? So, like, you cannot do that. So you've got to make a decision as to what's the most important to you. And then, so if catching the biggest fish in your pond with your physical attractiveness is the most important to you, and that's more important, because you can't post your powerlifting total on your Tinder profile, then that needs to be, no matter how big your ass is, it's only one horse, bro. Only one. Jen, you can't even ride a pony. It's not even tall enough to ride a pony at the fair. Sandy's definitely not tall. Sandy and Jen are riding the ponies on the outside of Walmart, the ones that go in circles. All good things. But yeah, you cannot, so you've got to make a decision as to what's the most important thing to you. And then it's like a major and a minor. Like, I still want to look good, but there's going to be times where I'm going to allow myself to do this. But, when you sell out and go extreme, one reason, like if you sell out and go like, I want to look really, really, really good and I want to be lean year round, well, you're never going to get close to your strength ceiling. And if you absolutely sell out on the other side and say, I don't give a shit, then you're not going to look your best. I mean, like, I've seen Hoff, and he's super impressive. Like, I think it's impressive the way that he looks. But, I mean, he's not bebopping onto the beach and having like that. He doesn't have any photo shoots scheduled. Sure.
Schedule.
He doesn't have any photo shoots on the schedule. Okay. So, and that's peak performance though, and they're, the people that are, and I don't know, but people that I know that know people around him will tell you that, like, when he kicks it into gear around meet time, his body changes very quickly. You might see him, around this time of year and you're like, hey, he looks all right. And then you catch him at the WPO and you're like, Jesus Christ, what happened to your back? You look like an absolute gorilla. His traps get to be like up to, it's unbelievable. And that's because that's the phase part of his training where it's important for him, and he allows his body weight to, it's like, you look at Donnie when he's chasing 3,000, and like, that man looked like he was ready to die immediately. Like, he posted a video today of him getting a 12:55 turned down.
Yeah,
and you
saw that.
Like, golly, man, like,
he needed help. Yeah, he needed to, like,
I have nothing but respect.
Walked off the platform.
I have nothing but respect for him, because your boy, like, in the post, he talked about how his debit card was declined at the hotel, at the meet.
His mom had to pay for his hotel.
Your boy is like one Twinkie away from a graveyard. And it's like, but like, I don't know Donnie really well, but me and him have a relationship, and he's like, Donnie was all in, man. Like, the only thing that was important to him was to be the first man total 3,000. He didn't care if that killed him. And like, you got to respect that. But like, he wasn't doing that shit with abs. And everybody thinks that, and the funny thing is, like, everybody thinks of Donnie and they're like, fat Donnie. He makes fun of, like, calls himself the caterpillar. Like, you do realize that Donnie played college and professional football and was absolutely yoked out of his mind, abbed up like an absolute action figure. He looked like that because that's what he had to look like to make history. And if he would have wanted them, like, and I wholeheartedly believe this, I don't know if we'd ever see a 3,000 pound total if he would have made those sacrifices, because I don't know if people's mind would have been able to wrap around the fact that it was real. It's like the first person that broke the 5-minute mile, then 50 people broke it. And then somebody broke the 4-minute mile. And people don't realize that things are attainable until somebody who's just crazy enough to sacrifice it all. Mm-hmm. Somebody's just crazy enough to sacrifice it all and do it. And I love my girls, man. I'm going to hang around for them. Yeah. And I'm not going to sell my soul for an 1,100 pound squat. I'm just going to get it. It's going to take me more time. When I did this deal, man, I told myself, like, to look the way that I want to look and be as healthy as I want to look, I got to give myself till I'm 45 years old.
But that's. Were you done? Because that's exactly what I. No, because that's exactly what I. That was a very nice segue, because now because of social media and because of Instagram, everyone wants to look a certain way or to be at a certain strength level yesterday, right? Like, everyone thinks that it's going to happen overnight, and if they do exactly what person A is doing and diets exactly how person A is dieting and trains exactly how person A is training, that they're going to look like person A. Well, no, because person A has been doing all of those things for years prior that you haven't seen, that doesn't get posted, that isn't flashy, and that's why person A performs like he or she does and looks like he or she does, because they've put in the time and the effort for years leading up to that point. And I feel like that gets overlooked, and people think, oh, I just want to get as strong as I can, as fast as I can. Or I want to get as big as I can as fast as I can, or as lean as I can as fast as I can. And that's not how this works.
Yeah, people, like, when I started blowing up, getting strong, it's like everybody wanted, like, oh, Andy's on so much drugs. Like, bro, you don't have any idea. I didn't miss a meal, a training session, a cardio session for 13 years when you didn't even know my name.
Right?
It's like, no, bro. I've been in the gym since I was 15 years old. I ain't missed a day. And I've had a nutrition coach since I was 16 years old. And I've known how to eat and how to cardio and how to sleep. And I prioritize that, because when it wasn't for lifting, it was lifting for baseball. Right. And I was as committed to that as I knew how to be. And then I was committed to get stronger to play slow pitch softball. And then I got committed to lifting. And then I learned how to do it even better. And I wish I knew then what I knew now.
Oh, but, I mean, if I knew now what I knew 20 years ago, who knows where I'd be. But that's not how things work, right? Things take time, things take trial and error. You got to figure out what works the best for you in this at this minute, right? It's like what works for me now may not have worked for me 5 years ago, 10 years ago.
What is your priority, and how high is this on your priority scale?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm asking them to ask themselves that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that has to be the first question that's asked. And if that is your priority, what are you doing now to achieve that, or to reach that goal or that priority, right? If your goal is to be as big and strong as you possibly can, all right, well, what are you doing to get there, right? Because like you said, it's not just lifting, right? It's not just lifting.
You have a job that works around that. Do you have money to buy the things you need to buy and to do things you need to do and travel? Because sleeping in your car is not really an option. So do you set your life up to be able to do that? And like, priority number one for me is not lifting. Priority number one for me is my family.
Your family it should be family, and providing and
other priorities in my life. Lifting is equal to, so it gets fed at the same time.
100%.
Like, once we get past this, it goes to that. It goes to my career. But it's just like, I would never let my career take away from lifting. I'd also never let lifting take away from my career. But both of those dogs are getting fed.
They're here and here
every morning.
They're here and here.
And I don't have a social life. My golf game suffers.
I don't have a golf game yet for it to suffer.
I have a golf game that suffers, though. If I could move, I could beat somebody's ass on the golf course. I just can't. I can't turn. I'm too stiff.
It's a little stiff. We got to work on
that. I just punch it around there, man.
But I mean, yeah, like, does everyone want to look like Dan Green? Does everyone want to look like Hunter? No, not everyone wants to look like them. But if you're in this sport, you're not doing things, at least I would think, you're not doing things to look like shit on purpose.
No.
Right?
Well, for most people, you're going to fall in you're pretty strong and you look really good. Or you're really strong and you look pretty good. Like, most people are not going to fall in you're super strong and you're an absolute 10. Like, most people are not going to fall into those things. It doesn't work like that.
Not usually, no, because if you are trying to be leaner, like you said, you're probably going in an opposite direction than your strength ceiling.
Yeah. My suggestion would be, if you want to be really lean, I'd compete once a year. I would make that competition time away from a time like most people. I'd compete in December. So you have time to lean out for the summer, look good for the summer, and then turn it on at the end of the summer into meet prep. That will be my suggestion. Compete once a year. And that gives you 9 months a year to be as lean as you want, 3 months a year to push as hard as you can. And don't be upset when you don't make massive, massive, massive gains. Because calorie surplus is a tremendous, like you can literally eat your way to a bigger total.
Yeah.
See, what's his name? Tank Abbott or Tommy Barbecue 2. What's his name? Oh, man. Tractor.
Oh,
Tractor
Jesus
back.
Christ.
I mean, but he still squatted 1325, man. I mean, but like,
yeah, but
you
it was
can literally.
yeah, he squatted 1325. It was only 2.5 times body weight.
Just saying. It's still impressive. It's still impressive.
But yeah, I mean,
I wasn't making
things are
party.
good.
I for whatever reason, I follow his barbecue page. He's an incredible barbecue guy, which surprises me very a bit.
Tractor?
Yeah, he's got Tractor's barbecue. He does barbecue. Like he literally does like you could, if you live in Utah, you could get Tractor's barbecue for your events. It's unbelievable, dude. His barbecue shit is unbelievable. It's so good.
Well, we got to get some.
Oh,
we got to get some air freeze dried out here,
dude. He does like smoked mac and cheese, and I'm like, oh my god, it looks like a heart attack.
That's how you squat. That's how you squat 1325.
I want to know how much of that shit he eats.
All of it.
He's so big.
All of it.
Oh god.
All right.
But yeah, I would like. I think people need to cut themselves some slack, and I think people need to be very realistic about what they're doing and what that's doing to them. I think that Instagram is great, but it also makes people think they can be Hunter, and you can't be Hunter.
No,
that sounds like a pretty good weekend and a pretty bad way to keep your blood pressure under control.
You probably have a great squat day though. Great.
I don't know, man. I can't squat with a full stomach. I'm like you, dude. Just give me like 3 Cliff bars.
I need a Cliff Bar and I need 17.
I need a power breakfast sandwich, 3 coffees, and a Cliff Bar, and 6 course lights until we get to deadlift.
Until we get to deadlift.
Slide over.
All right, boys and girls. Thank you for sticking around. We clearly went over.
Yeah, we got questions. We like interaction. We're not gonna turn questions down.
No, absolutely not. So
if you're in Florida, check my meet out. I'm gonna drop the application this week. If you have questions, hit me up here or IPA_Florida. We're gonna put together a small but very fun and enjoyable meet for the lifters, and it's gonna be a good day.
Something's happening up here, Jersey IPA in the fall as well.
Let's go.
So, information will be forthcoming, but if you're up around here, there will be an IPA meet, small push-pull ran in the fall at Burn County Barbell. So
we're going to do it for lifters.
The what?
We're going to do it for lifters.
We're going to do it for lifters. It's going to be for lifters, and that's how it's going to be done in the IPA from this point forward.
We're going to have fun.
Yeah. This is the State of the Union, sponsored by Vigo Hard Barbell, BCB Training Systems, Wicked Wolf Beard Co. Make sure if you need some beard stuff, you have until
and some hair gel.
Until tomorrow night. No, tonight. Till tonight. It's one day. Go right now. SOTU 30. Get you 30% off any order over $30. Go get some butter.
Tremendous.
It's tremendous.
Love you, pal.
Love you guys. Love you, pal. Bye.